Welcome back. This will be, well, who cares what part it is. let's just keep talking like good friends. As I was saying, we often don't even realize that we're calling things in. I was finding it very fitting that I was walking through shadow and you could barely see my face. And even now, I'm out on my walk, sitting down now for a minute, and a nice little grassy knoll, but still kind of shadowy. And that's because a lot of this is shadow work. And I think a lot of times, especially in the beginning of our journeys, we don't recognize that karmics are often called in as much for us as our partners, just as much as other our karmics, third party situations are also called in to help our twins. Like, I know there's going to be a day even that my DM in the future is going to realize that while I needed to learn to be able to set boundaries and respect myself and to feel a little more self-worth. I'd lost a lot of self-worth, especially getting caught up in his cycles. But that they were also called in for him to learn self-worth, and that, no matter how similar a story may be, you're never comparable. You're incomparable. And I needed to learn that too. There's the funny thing. We definitely reflect our twins, but we reflect anybody else that we call in too. Karmics as well. It's often why they're called in. But we need to recognize too that anyone that our twins call in is there to help us learn and grow too, and to help us do our shadow work. And the funny thing is like, it doesn't matter whether you go, oh no, the person that I'm with is so irredeemable, or their karmic is so irredeemable that I'm just done. Well, you'll continue on that cycle with the next people that you meet with, which maybe you haven't met your twin, you thought it was, and then you do, and then you end up going through the same kind of thing. Or even if you're not on the twin flame journey, like, we call in that which we need to learn, and Spirit doesn't care who you learn it with. And like I said, we often call it in ourselves. If you truly wish to feel loved, you will actually learn, you'll be put in situations where you are not loved in return, because in order to really feel true love from another, you must first truly love yourself. But I mean, it's also really good to look at the fact that, there are fights that you can't have with your person. Like, either you've already done enough work that you're not going to go down in that vibration, or morally you won't go there, or even just Spirit might say, okay, both of you into your corners. That was really weird. The car just drove by and was honking at me. So maybe that's a good sign. This would be a good video to do. Anyways, time to walk because my butt is cold. There are just certain things that, like, sometimes Spirit comes in and says, nope, I'm going to put you each in your corners. And you're going to learn this while they learn that, and you're both going to see each other, and then at the end you're both going to laugh at how absurd both of you were being. And so sometimes that journey can take months or years or even decades. And talk to some of the twin flames that have been doing this for decades. Like, you think you got it bad now because it's been like a few days or a few weeks or a few months or even a few years. Like, there are those that have been on this path a very, very long time. It's very humbling for that matter. In any case, like, even if your twin ends up attracting a karmic that really has some really bad toxic cycles, there's a couple of things to remember that helps you get into a vibration of gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. At least it helps me anyways. One is recognizing that, they didn't get that way on purpose. Nobody wants to be that place, and we all have our histories that get us to where we are and get us into toxic pain cycles. And the other thing to recognize is that if you are a twin flame, if you believe that you are a twin flame, then anybody that you attract or that your twin attracts are also twin flames. At least in terms of major lessons. Oftentimes there can also be soulmates that get called in, but typically, most of the time, the karmic third parties are also twin flames. That does not mean that they are twins with your twin, but they are learning something with your twin that they will take with them, that will help them either reconnect with a twin that they've been in separation with, or be in a healed place where they can be receptive to their twin coming in, which is the same thing that we do. Even if we think we know who our twin is, sometimes we just have to hold on to that long enough to heal, and get to a place where we have self-love and boundaries and things like that, that we are receptive to our actual twin coming in. So you never know. Like, that's why a lot of times you'll get messages from spirit and readers and things like that that tell you, 511 on the timer, that will tell you be open to all outcomes. Good, bad, everything, but definitely focus on the better ones. But if you recognize that the other people involved are also twins that are also learning things, and it, gender isn't specific. So if you have a DM who identifies as a man, they could be with a feminine who identifies as a woman or feminine, but they're actually a divine masculine. Because, for one thing, we don't know how all of this works. And for two, that's just sometimes how it is. And we all have both energies, and we can both enter into all energies. But it could be that, they're learning something like that. And you can often recognize somebody who's more of a divine masculine, whether man, woman, or otherwise, by their energy. Are they aggressive? Are they obstinate? Are they stuck in logic moments? Things like that. Are they controlling and possessive? Those are typically more toxic masculine energies. And divine feminines can get stuck in toxic masculine energy just as much as divine masculines can get stuck in toxic feminine energy, which I talked about in the beginning, right? Either way, if you start by recognizing one, they didn't choose to get where they were, and if they were in a healed enough place to recognize they had a choice in acting differently and being differently and healing, they would. All people would. And you may not believe that right now, but it definitely at least heals your soul to start believing and recognizing things like that. And because what is true, what we believe is true, the universe proves to us is true, you will start to see that when you start to believe it first. And then when you recognize that they are more than likely also someone else's twin flame, you can feel good in knowing that your twin and them are healing each other so that your twin can come back to you and they can go to their twin or find their twin or whatever. Everybody's healing and doing good things. And because they're willing, because they got lined up with your twin, that means that they both called in and needed that sort of healing. They both needed whatever sort of toxic situationship to reflect each other. It's more than likely that they were entangled in toxic relationships before you two and them two, and they were so hurt and they released certain soul shards and things like that they weren't the same, and so maybe they couldn't interact with you in a certain way. And you probably taught them more things than you know, and they taught you more things than you think. But there were still many things that they needed to learn, and oftentimes when we are hurt very, very badly, we then hurt other people, even those who are not actually hurting us,